Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of ADology. Today, we are joined by a friend of mine, Tim Tryon from Madison County High School in Virginia. He's been an athletic administrator for a little while. We're going to go over a few things in regards to small public schools, which is where he's at. Tim, welcome to the ADology episode 3.
Hey, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on.
You're more than welcome. More than welcome. We're looking forward to this. Tim, if you want to go over a brief intro, that'd be great for our audience.
Yeah, sure. My name is Tim Tryon. I am the athletic director and an assistant principal at Madison County High School in Madison County, Virginia. We're a small Class 2 school, public school, in a rural part of Virginia, just north of Charlottesville and a little bit south of Culpeper along 29. We have a little under 500 students here in the school. Starting my third year here in Madison County. Before this, I was at Charlottesville High School, where I was a special education teacher and an assistant AD for Rodney Red, who is now the principal at Louisa County High School. And prior to that, I was at Garfield High School, where I was also a special education teacher. I was an assistant AD, and I was a head boys soccer coach there for a while. And I had some stints at some other schools as well before that. But yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Sounds like it's been a long but rewarding road to getting to be an athletic administrator. I know you're doing great things at your school, and I know everybody's going to enjoy hearing about some of these things as we get through this. So, Tim, let's jump into this. What is your favorite part of being an athletic administrator?
I think my favorite part is working with the kids. I love being able to be at the games, watching them succeed, watching them fail and grow from their failures. And I enjoy working lunch duty, seeing them in the cafeteria, having those conversations, talking about the games from the night before, or talking about their college plans or their employment plans after high school, asking them about their families and things like that. I like working with the kids. I don't coach anymore, and I loved coaching. I coached for a really long time. Being an AD takes you off of the playing field and the practice field, and so I think the closest thing that we can get to is seeing those kids at the games and the practices in the hallways and all those interactions. So
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you. I think, being around the kids, seeing where they've come from to where they're growing to, and then all the way to when they graduate from high school, it really makes it a very rewarding experience. I think, one of the things I would say that you hit the nail on the head is you get to see kids develop at such a fast rate, and it's such a character building thing that we do within athletic administration. It's probably one of the most rewarding things you get as an administrator and or as a coach.
yeah, I would agree. And another aspect of athletic administration that I enjoy is the professional development and the networking. I love taking classes. I love growing and learning. I love meeting new people. I feel like I've been able to meet people from really big schools to really small schools and everywhere in between, and made a lot of friends, made a lot of connections. And someone like yourself, Jeremy, I'm not sure we would have much of an interaction coming from a private school and a public school, but we meet up. We met through the VIAAA, and I've learned a lot from you, as I hope you've learned a little bit from me in the last couple of years.
I would definitely agree with that. I definitely would agree with that. And we'll get a lot more into that as well, but I think you also would agree. We have a pretty tight punch that we usually rely on within our networking. So, but one of the things I think that a lot of people do not see from the administration part as an athletic administrator is the balance between work, family, and life, and all of those things in between. I think one of the things I would say that I'd like to hear a little more about what you do personally is how do you balance having kids, a wife, family, and the the long hours that we have as athletic administrators because it is not a 9 to 5 job by any means, and you're well aware of that.
I am. Oh, I'll be the first one to say it's not easy. I love athletics and I love athletic administration, and I'll fully admit I can get totally caught up in it. Um, Luckily, I married an amazing woman, Catherine Monteith, now Catherine Tryon. She's the rock in our family, so she really keeps it together, and she does a great job, um, you know, in our family. And I think what we do is when I'm at home, I try to really just log off and be intentional with my time at home with the family. Uh, when we're in the thick of it, sometimes that's really just on the weekends. I'll see my wife and my daughter for 30 minutes before they go off to school and work, and then I come home late at night and everyone's asleep. So Saturday mornings, when we get into it, having breakfast and just spending time together. We live in a great part of the state, and there's a lot to do, whether it's going out to the mountains, whether it's going out to eat. There's a lot of good restaurants around here, breweries, wineries. There's a lot to do. And so I think on the weekends, we do make sure that we have a lot of fun and make a lot of good memories together. And now that it's the summer, not working evenings right now. So my daughter's on the swim team. I'm taking her to practice every night. That's been great. I love it. I love watching her compete in the swim meets. It's not a sport it's not a sport I participated in. I do know enough about it as an athletic administrator, but I can really just sit back and enjoy watching her compete. And that's been a lot of fun. And so I think what we do is we try to just be intentional about our time away from work.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And, I think that's something that I try and do as well, is be very intentional, whether it's in the evenings when I get home late from games or contests, or on the weekends when we don't have anything, or like you mentioned now during the summer when we don't have any contests, is when I get home, I try not to answer my phones unless it's vitally important to the relevant of what I need to do compared to wait till tomorrow morning, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah,
so I think that's
definitely utilizing the do not disturb a lot more frequently right now.
yeah, no, I definitely don't disagree with that at all. I think, and I think the big part of that is you mentioned the nail on the head is as athletic administrators, we really rely on our wives to be the backbone of our family because of the fact that, we get in between 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then we're at school all the way till 8, 9 o'clock at night because of athletic conduct. So I think that's kind of where a lot of people don't realize we're working 16, 17 hours a day because of the fact, we have to be there in the mornings. We've got different things that we are responsible for at our schools, and they vary quite a bit. Public to you, private to me. So it is varying quite a bit, but we do try and find that balance throughout. So, um, is there anything you like to do mental health wise that brings you peace as an athletic administrator? I think, one of the things that I'll give you an example of for me is, and I could do this a lot at the school I was at previously. I love to get on the lawnmower, put my earbuds in, and that's my me time. I'm not bothered by my coaches. I don't have people asking me questions or the students, but that's one example I like is from a mental health component for me, is getting out there and riding a mower and cutting grass.
Yeah. For me, I would say something I've been trying to do more of is working out in the mornings. I've got a rower in the basement. When I use it, I feel great afterwards. I feel like it's a good start to the day. Well, I mean, I will be open and honest. I did not utilize that as much as I'd planned or wished I could have done. But I have used it. So exercise has been, great for me when I've done that. And that is one of my goals in 2024 is just to be more purposeful in terms of my own health. Like you said, it's a lot of late nights. It's a lot of running around, a lot of stress, a lot of hot dogs and hamburgers for dinner. So it's, I think, for me, yes, exercise is great. And I enjoy golfing. Obviously that would be off the clock, but when I can get out on the course and just kind of step away and take it easy, and it's really it does a good job to kind of help me move forward.
Definitely. I definitely agree. I started getting back into the weight room a little bit, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I can see a big difference working out in the morning, like you were saying, just from a mental health component and really getting your day going.
Mhm.
Having something that you've accomplished before you get in the office and you're sitting in a chair for 6, 7 hours, scheduling, doing whatever, it helps you with the mental component of locking in for the day. So. One of the things that really differs, and I think this is part of the ADology part that we'll get back to is, and I'd love to hear what you're doing at Madison County because it's a great school. I've learned a lot about it. Competed against Madison County as a high school student at Alta Vista High School. But one of the things I want to hear a little bit, and I'm sure our other people want to hear, is what are some of the best practices that you've found that have worked for a small small public school in Virginia?
I think the most important thing has been communication, whether that's responding pretty quickly to emails, um, speaking with people at events, uh, or even, weekly calendars and posting score updates on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I feel like the community really appreciates when we are able to put out a weekly calendar. I have a Gipper account. I started that a couple of years ago when I was in Charlottesville, and I brought it here to Madison, and we do a weekly calendar. And if I don't get it out in a timely manner, people will let me know that I forgot or that it's not out yet, and so I get that posted as soon as I can. I make updates to the calendar as well and the schedule as things pop up throughout the course of the week. And I would say our Facebook account gets a lot of traction after games. Say we win a big basketball game, and I'll post the score. And we get a lot of comments, a lot of interaction immediately afterwards. And I do know I've heard from a good amount of people, they do appreciate getting those updates through social media. So I think communication is really important. Organization is really essential as well. I don't have an admin assistant or an assistant AD, which most small schools are in the same boat. So I just have to be really organized and intentional with how I spend my time throughout the course of the day. And it's an area where I still need to improve. And I hope to keep getting better and better. And, I watched a video a couple weeks ago on YouTube, and it was all about how to utilize your Google Calendar and make that your to-do list. And it really sparked something really interesting in my mind. And it's an area where I want to continue to look at, but any area where I can continue to just, be better with organizational skills and communication. I think those are really important. And I think, having patience in a small school is really important as well. I think, I won't speak about the funding, but some of our facilities they need a little bit of love. So we are patient, and we give our facilities that love that it needs, and we just grow as we can.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on all those points. I think when you're comparing a small school, public or private, we do face a lot of the same challenges. I think, the organization part that you were talking about, communication, patience, all of that is something at a small school where you're pretty visible as the athletic director or athletic administrator. They know who you are. They know who to come to in the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I don't see anything where, what you're doing, we do the same thing here. We are very blessed with some of the things that we have in regards to resources at a small school. But I think overall, being able to communicate clearly, being organized, staying on task, and having patience are really the things that, and really in a big school too, I would probably expect the same thing. Thank God I'm not at a big school. I don't think I'll ever be in a big school like that. But I think we are in very similar situations where, and you mentioned this, and we hadn't really talked about it, with social media. In a small school like this where communities are really tight, I'm sure the community in Madison's the same way where, you have a big game and they're wanting to know updates. And I remember when we were at the spring BIAAA conference, we're sitting there and you're sitting on your phone getting updates about a big soccer game you guys had. And it was awesome to see because it's very similar here. So
Yeah. That was a fun night. That was a big night for Madison County High School. Big win for us. So that, yeah,
it was,
no doubt.
it was. And we were, we'll get into this in a little bit, but the networking piece of this, we were all sitting at the table and we're all very excited for you because we knew how big of a win this was for y'all school's history. So obviously we talked about best practices, but what are some of the challenges that you face in a small public school?
Yeah. So one of the challenges I have is just finding ticket takers for our events. I have a group of ticket takers who are great. I love them. They're awesome. They help us a lot. But it's a challenge, and at times I feel like I spend a good amount of time on a game day trying to find a replacement or just someone who's able to fill in and sell tickets for us. So that's been probably one of my biggest challenges. It's an area where I'm trying to brainstorm with some other people on some things that we can do to minimize that challenge. Hopefully, in year 3 here, that challenge will be less and less for me. I think managing my time is another challenge. Like you said, we're a small community, and in some ways we're kind of a throwback to the way things used to be. We get huge crowds for our games, which is awesome. It's amazing. Our community supports our athletics and our activities. They will fill up the auditorium for a primary school performance. They will get the gym rocking for a regular season basketball game. It's great. So yeah, just having some support for those events can at times be challenging. But we've got a great admin team here, and they work all of the events, and they are really, when they work events, they're locked in and doing, filling in their admin roles. I've got a great trainer, Catherine Crothamel. She goes above and beyond what her responsibilities are. She helps me a lot. She'll fill in and sell tickets for me. She'll take the referees to the locker room. She'll do all of those things that aren't required, but are required for an event to be successful.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you hit the nail on the head again with, booster club volunteers, ticket takers, things like that. That's all the same things we look at. We have challenges of at a small private school is those exact same things. And I think one of the things that people don't understand, yes, we need to be present at the game, But the other part of that is it's not just scheduling the game and being at the game, it's the operational part. Do you have somebody to run the clock? Do you have somebody that can take tickets? Because at the end of the day, you have to be responsible for all those things. But also you need to be watching the game as the athletic director because of the fact if something goes wrong, you have to take a fan out. That's the best part of the day, right? You get to have those hard conversations with the spectators. So
Hmm. I've had a
so
few of those. I've had a few of those.
yes, I'm sure you have, and I've had my fair share as well. So what advice would you give to aspiring athletic administrators for young administrators that are wanting to or trying to get into athletic administration? You and I talked a little bit about our different paths. And I think that would be good for them to kind of hear how you got into athletic administration.
Yeah, I think, well, before I get started on that, I do think it's important to take as many NIAAA classes that you can. They're very informative, and I've learned a lot through my time taking courses, and I'll continue taking more and more. It's a great organization. I would highly recommend taking as many courses as you can. And then I think for me, just be willing to say yes if someone asks you. When I was an assistant AD, and when an athletic director would ask me to help with something, I would say yes. I would do it, whether it was selling tickets, whether it was announcing starting lineups, whether it was meeting the FedEx delivery guy to receive a package. Um, just say yes. Be that person that people can rely on. And as you do that, you build trust. People start to trust you. You learn through those experiences. And I feel like by the time I um, became a full-time AD, I was well prepared for a lot of situations, and I understood you need to be prepared for whatever presents itself. I mean, you can organize a game, but you don't know, like, once the ball goes up, you don't know what could happen. Or even throughout the course of your day, you could be in your office working on scheduling and you receive that email that raises everyone's eyebrows, and you got to jump on that right away.
Yeah.
So, again, I would say, take as many courses as you can and just be willing to help and do whatever it takes for the organization to be successful.
I would agree. And, I did the exact same thing as a coach, starting out volunteering for other sports, keeping clock, taking gate, whatever it may be, because at the end of the day, if you want to get into athletic administration, you need to be able to know about different sports. You need to be able how that operates, how the rules are. So, at least a baseline of that, because, as an athletic administrator, you're not just overseeing the sports that you coach, but you're overseeing the whole athletic department. And, you mentioned NIAAA and the courses that they offer. I think they're a great resource as well. I think you really hit a lot of the points that a lot of people don't get the knowledge because they don't understand how to get into athletic administration. You've been a coach, you get to see the coaching piece of that, and you understand what the expectations are. I think one of the things that I would add on to what you mentioned is, for me personally, I had 18 different schools that told me no before I got hired as an athletic administrator. And that's over a 5, 6 year, 7 year span of being told no and still pursuing and going after the things that you want in life. And I think one of the things you mentioned earlier was using your network. And I think one of the things I'd like to hear from you is how have you used your network of athletic administrators in, just support the things that we go through, things of that nature.
Yeah. We've got a great set of ADs in the Bull Run District and Region 2B as well. They're very experienced. They've worked in the small schools for a long time. And I didn't grow up in a small school and I didn't grow up in a rural community. And so this has all been kind of new for me. But I've really utilized those other ADs and they've been so welcoming, just to me personally, but everyone as well. They're very open and honest. and willing to help. And so anytime I have any sort of question about anything, I have I have a small group of people who I rely on heavily, and then a bigger group of people who I'll rely on as well to help me. I remember in my first year last year, we were playing, or I guess 2 years ago, we had a volleyball game scheduled with East Rockingham, and we were down one official for the game, and I was in a near panic, I would say. And I called Eric Phillips over at East Rock, and he says, it's going to be all right. We can figure out a solution, do this, and we'll see what happens. Luckily, the other official eventually came. We were able to get the match started a little bit late, and everything went fine. But it's, little things like that. I talk to Matt Heiserman at Strasburg High School all the time. He's a huge resource for me. I've developed a really good relationship with the former athletic director here, Madison County, Phil Warren. Talk to him almost daily. And then we've got my brother, Danny Tryon, he's the AD at Brook Point High School, which is a bigger school over in Stafford County. I talk to him a lot, and he's kind of able to give me a different perspective from a bigger school. They face some different challenges, and it's good to hear about that stuff and just, learn from him. And yeah, going back to the previous question, I think networking is really important too, to any aspiring AD. It's really, really important to have a good network of fellow ADs who you can rely on and bounce things off of.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think, you mentioned Matt, you mentioned Eric. For me, Brandon Burley has been one from Harrisonburg High School, and you all know
Oh yeah.
my relationship with Brandon. We go way back to when I was in college. I think I have a ton of people in the private school world that I reach out with, Kemper, Bob Blake, things of that nature. I think what people don't realize is when you're in this role as an athletic administrator, you really are in a boat at a school that nobody else in the school understands what your job entails almost daily and how much it differs. As a teacher, you're in the classroom, you got lesson plans, things of that nature. But as an athletic administrator, your job can change like that, right on the fly. And I think that's where being able to have a strong network is really one of the reasons why I enjoy being an athletic administrator, because I call any of those people that you and I know and we talk about, and they'll drop whatever to help us out, and that's what it's about at the end of the day. I think that's what I'm hoping others get from this, is that they see what we're doing and that you understand that they're not alone in this. So
Yeah, and I think I've never met an athletic administrator who wasn't willing to help you with something. I think we all, we're a tight-knit community. We understand the grind, and like I said, I've never met anyone who's been unwilling to help in any way. Yeah.
I agree. I definitely agree. Well, Tim, I want to thank you for being on here for the third episode of ADology. I hope everybody gets to see some of the best practices that work in a small public school, whether you're in Virginia or abroad or in the United States. I hope that they get to see what we talked about and they reach out to us with any questions or comments, because it is, again, us here trying to be helpful and help out others that are in the same boat that we are. So thank you again, Tim, for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Jeremy. It was a lot of fun. Hope to do it again.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.